Pato, if you will, beloved, could you expound on that just a little bit? That full circle, talking about the sun, the sun, all the older indigenous cultures would, or will we think that they were worshiping the sun, but really it was the science of the sun, and how today we correlate it as the son, the sun is pretty much one and the same, the light giver, and how
Mm-hmm.
yes, and how that man, we really are connected to the Peruvians and the Bolivians and the Colombians and the Mexicans.
Mm-hmm.
It's really beautiful, and the Italians and Ethiopians. Man, it just made
Yeah.
me laugh to realize that, man, this is my family, my true family, and
Mm-hmm.
stop looking at Democrat, Republic, and all of these nonsense. It's so much nonsense going on, man. It's really beautiful to find that. Could you expound on that, please, Pato? Because today, man, let me set up the scenery today. I'm in Vermont. I'm over here with my brethren. He's taking me through the mountains. We come out to this beautiful, clear, beautiful lake. We go for a swim, and on the way back, we pop in your Words of Christ CD, which is so beautiful, brethren. I want to big you up
Mm-hmm.
and thank you for that works, man. Your ministry is so powerful and beautiful. We thank you for that. And we were
Right.
listening to the new commandment and the vine and the branches. And man, that's so beautiful. Could you please just
Uh-huh.
expound a little bit on that, please, Pato?
All right. Well, you said a lot of stuff. So.
I know you can handle it, Duck.
Yes, my brother, I can handle it, man. I can handle it. But it's just very beautiful, to do an interview with somebody who is so spiritual and is so in tune. I
Sin,
I can already hear it in you. So
sin.
it's a beautiful thing. But if we go back to the beginning of time, we look at all the different cultures across the planet, from the Mayans to the Egyptians, all across the world, where we go and we see these buildings that mankind would have had a problem building during those times. And we can see that the dimensions, wherever you find pyramids around the world, in Peru, in Mexico, in Egypt, wherever you find these buildings, the symmetry is the same. So for me, this is a clear indication that we've never really been alone on this planet, and there's always been celestial beings here with us. And when we look at the scriptures, we can see from the beginning of time when they say that there was giants on the land, and when we see people like Melchizedek appearing on our planet with no mother, no father, no beginning of days, and no ending of life. These are all clues for us to see that we've never been alone. And now, with modern technology, we are able to bridge the gap between religion and science. There was a time when these two things could never come close to each other, but now more scientists are realizing that the secret behind the Big Bang has to be the Almighty. And now more and more religionists are realizing that God is the one who created evolution, and that plants evolve, and a child within a womb takes 9 months to evolve from a fetus to a child that's ready to take its first breath. So we have all the evidence here that the Creator is the greatest scientist, the greatest evolutionist, and philosophy and spirituality and all these things should be embraced as one instead of creating a division. All of these things should be embraced. And like you said, when different people were worshiping the sun at one stage, these were the early signs of worship and praise, of giving thanks for the light. But it's also another sign for us to know that when the sun comes, even more light will be spread, more light than from the sunshine that we have every day.
Yeah.
And spiritual luminosity is the brightest light. And that's what everybody should be aspiring to have in their heart and in their soul during these times, especially coming out of these dark times. Now we're entering into a new age. More and more people need to embrace their higher self And it's not so important what road they choose to take, whether they want to be a Buddhist, Hindu, Muslim, Christian, Rasta. The main thing is that they live up to the standards that they have within their heart and soul, and don't fall short and don't get stagnant or lazy because they have some knowledge, because knowledge and religion is only the foundation for spiritual liberty. You know, it's one thing to know something and it's another thing to live it. And we should all strive to be living the things that we have learned. And in that living comes spiritual unity. Because when you find a Christian, a Muslim, a Buddhist, whoever, when you find those people who are living up to their highest spirituality, there's no more debate about beliefs. You know, what's more important is love and progress. And going from that point to the words of Christ, you know, we have the Christ now who has come forward to the planet and entered the stage of world affairs and has shone his light very, very brightly. And, you know, we have a religion about Christ, but Christ had his own religion, which is separate from what we call Christianity today. You know, Jesus had his own personal religion, and there was no name for that, apart from maybe the religion of the Spirit. And that is why I took the words of Christ and recorded them, because I wanted people to know what he said, not so much what people say about him or what people tell us to believe about him. But if we focus on what he actually said and how he lived his life, then we can see that that truth is applicable to every single person on this planet, regardless of what denomination or what religion they claim as their belief system. The words of Christ can be applied to every person on this planet, even to an atheist. And so I lift up those recordings very high, and it's been an honor for me to share them with you, brethren.
Yes, give thanks, you know. That brings up, you know, something I wanted to ask you about, which was, like I mentioned, you know, a few years ago, I was blessed to have you on a previous radio show, the ITAL show, and you graced me with the book, the Urantia book, which a lot of this knowledge, a lot of this ancient power, you know, is coming from. For people, you know, who already have read the Bible and are familiar with, you know, the teachings of Christ, why do you recommend that they also take the time to read about the life and teachings of our Savior, you know, in the Urantia book? What unique messages may they be able to look for in that book as well?
Well, firstly, I want to say that if somebody has the Bible and they are a Christian and they are happy with that, with what they have, then I salute them and embrace them as a brother or sister, and wouldn't push them to step outside of their comfort zone if that's not what they want to do. Because I know a lot of people who have a faith are not really permitted to really look within too many other spiritual books. But for me personally, for anyone who still has an open mind and is still looking for more truth, or for people who have read the Bible and see certain gaps in the Bible that they would like to know, you know, what is the truth within these gaps, or why are certain things missing, then I would suggest the Urantia book, because we have the scriptures that are written by God-loving and God-fearing people who were inspired to write the scriptures. And then we have the New Testament, which was written by the followers of Christ, and mostly by the Apostle Paul, who didn't even really know Jesus. But Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John were written by Jesus' followers, who wrote many of those scriptures years later according to their memory and through the Spirit of truth, bringing back to memory many of the things that Jesus said. 2,000 years later now, we have the Urantia book that has come to this planet. And I believe that the Urantia book is written by celestial beings. And many of the angels who were here during the life of Christ are responsible for recording his life and his words accurately, word for word, not by memory, but by actual recording. They've been able to reenact everything for us within the Urantia book. So we have, in the Bible, they say Jesus was born, and then there's nothing more said about him until he's 9, I believe, and goes to the temple. And then he's missing again until he's an adult. In the Urantia book, it talks about before Jesus was born, what he was doing before he even came to this planet. Then it talks about how our planet was chosen, and how there was other planets that could have been chosen, and how Mary and Joseph were chosen, but there was other parents that could have been chosen in other parts of the world. And they explain why Mary and Joseph was chosen and why the Jewish nation was chosen for Jesus to be born on this planet. And then it talks about his birth, and every year of his life is mentioned, from his childhood to the age of 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, all through his teenage years, all of his young adult life, up to his crucifixion. And that's where the Bible stops, at the crucifixion, and a few of his appearances. But in the Urantia book, it explains very clearly what happened at the crucifixion, very clearly what happened during the 3 days before his resurrection, very clearly what happened at the resurrection, and then very clearly all of the appearances he made before his ascension. The Urantia book also talks about Adam and Eve, a very clear description of who they are, where they came from, what their role was with humanity on this planet, and their default, what they did that went wrong. It talks about the Lucifer rebellion and who Lucifer and Satan and the devil are. They're 3 different people. You know, mankind never knew this before till now, but now we know who they are, what their different roles were, and why they went against the will of God, and how they affected us on this planet. And there's many, 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 many other things about the history of the human race, about our universe that we live in, and even life on other planets, and governments on other planets, and how we can grow spiritually. And from reading the Urantia book, I now see that there's no real need for division in religion. I guess it's necessary for men to create their belief systems and grow from those systems. But as we progress forward from this point forward, I think more and more people will be looking for what they have in common rather than for what they have as differences. And my suggestion is, for anyone who is a truth seeker, for anyone who is still asking questions about God, about life after death, about anything to do with spirituality, take a look at the Urantia book. And I believe every single question you ever had will be answered in that book.
Beautiful.
Yes, yes.
Thank you for that, Star. Yeah. That's nice.
Yes. And before when we were speaking, you brought up the fact of Muslims and Christians, both keeping that vision and that faith alive. As I mentioned to you before we got on air, this radio show, one of the places that we're blessed to be syndicated is on a gospel radio station in Calabar, Cross River State, Nigeria, in the Mama Land, Mama Africa. And a place, that if you pay attention to the news, there's been a lot of division. I mean, serious division between the Muslims and the Christians. And and what message, because people are going to be listening to this and interested to see what message do you have for our brethren and sisters in Nigeria, where that may be experiencing this division within their daily lives?
For me, my heart goes out for my motherland, for Africa. And for me, I think that the one thing that my brothers and sisters have to recognize before anything else is that they have to recognize that God is supreme. They have to recognize that the God that the Muslims praise and the God that the Christians praise is the same God. The God of Muhammad and the God of Jesus is the same God. Jesus Christ said, "Our Father who art in heaven." He was talking about his heavenly Father. Muhammad was talking about Allah, who we should submit to, which is the same creator. There's only one creator of this universe. And it doesn't, and it may matter to the people who praise God in their own way. It may matter to them. But in the bigger scheme of things, it really does not matter what name you want to call God. It's one God. And in Islam and in Christianity, the commandments say, "Thou shalt not kill. Love thy neighbor." You know, these are things in both scriptures. And I think it's important for religionists of all religions to put their scriptures beside each other and look at the things that they have in common. And many of the things in the Quran is very similar to things in the Bible. You know, the Old Testament of the Bible and the Quran are so similar. You know, Abraham is the father of the Jews and the Muslims. You know, so it's one family on a biological level, on a physical level. The Jews and the Muslims are cousins. The Christians are from the same bloodline as the Jews, you know, and the belief system is from the same scriptures that have evolved from the Old Testament now into the New Testament. So this is all one. We are all one people, and beyond that, they are one African nation. So let's start with who we are as a human family, as a human nation. Let's start with God who created us. And as we all bow down before God, let us stop killing each other and respect each other and love each other and accept each other's differences in beliefs. You know, because this is what God wanted, and this is what Jesus wanted, and this is what Muhammad wanted too. You know, it's only certain religious leaders sometimes who cause division amongst the people. But it's up to the people to stop being sheep and step up to the plate and do what they know is right. You know, and that's my message to my people. You know, start to love each other and put the religious differences aside, because you have much more in common than you have to divide you.
Yeah, it's true, you know, and recognizing that God lives within each and every one of us, you know, that in your brethren and sisters, you can see that's, you look for God, people look up to the sky, you know, you read the scriptures, a lot of things to look for God, but all you got to do is look within yourself and look within your brother, you know, and your sister.
And that's one of the main reasons why people should be careful how they treat each other, because God does live within each other, within everyone. So when you go to a brother and abuse him or disrespect him, or you treat a sister badly, sometimes these people don't realize that God is within that person, looking through their eyes, looking at you while you're doing something wrong to them. You know, so we must always remember that God is sovereign. You know, God is the head of everything. And before we look for divisions, or, you know, we should look for the one and come together as one. And in America now, we have in New York, there is a Muslim church, temple, where Christians who lost their church are now worshiping in the Muslim temple. And there is many multi-faith organizations now where people of different religions are all meeting in different places and praying together. You know, and this is happening in many parts of the world now. So there's no reason why we shouldn't be doing this in Africa too. You know, where the religious leaders say, hey, yeah, I may be a Muslim, you may be a Christian, but let's come together and pray to God. You know, we don't have to try and believe what we each other believe, but we do believe in the one God. So let's worship God. You know, and that is the starting point for peace.
I like that. I like that a lot. Beautiful. Yes.
Yes, star. Well, Pato, I have nothing but highly regards and respect for you, brethren. I remember I was living in California in Redondo Beach. I know you remember that place, Redondo Beach, California, Torrance, California.
That's right.
Yeah. And at the Strand, and man, every time I would see you, you know, you would play a lot with Ika Mouse over there in the Sagittarius band and Derek Barnett. And man, I would burn down the place, man, just fire. But I remembered in between sessions, you know, when Ika Mouse would finish and you would be ready to come on, you'd be chilling out there in the lobby waiting to get ready, man. And you know, you were so approachable and just had your smile and your hat turned to the side, you know. just being the duck, and you always had a nice smile on your face, man. And I would just want to big you up for that, man. I really appreciate that. You know, you have a lot to do with my spiritual involvement. It was always like going to church, you know.
Yes,
and, yeah, man, and I really appreciate. You know, a lot of times my mother would worry where I would be at night, but I would be at those churchill meetings, man, listening to Pato Banton and all the other brothers that was putting out the the love. So I really want to big you up for that and thank you for the longevity and truth. Thank you very much, and I thank your mother and father for planting that seed and putting you here on the earth, brethren.
Nice one, my brother. You know, sometimes, you know, as an artist, you know, we don't sometimes really realize the effect that we have on other people, you know. And if an artist is negative or they're just going through a bad time and they're reflecting that in their life, it's going to affect the people around them and the people that come to see them. And sometimes they're not aware of it, you know. Mm-hmm. But for me personally, you know, over the years, people have come to call me Mr. Positivity. Yeah. Because I'm always positive, I'm always smiling. And that's because, you know, I love people and I love music. And, you know, even though I'm a reggae artist myself, I'm still a fan of the music, you know. I get excited when I do shows with other bands and other artists are on the shows. I'm still a fan. And I never forget where I'm coming from. I still appreciate the opportunities I've had to be successful. And I still give thanks for the music that inspired me from the beginning of my journey. So for me, when I go and do a show, I'm just so happy to be there and meet the fans and see people that, you know, I don't feel like I'm nothing special or no big, you know, legend or anything. I feel like I have a little talent that I've been blessed to share. But apart from that, I'm a person like everybody else, and I feel as though I have an obligation to make people feel good. And when they come to my show, I want them to leave feeling better than when they came there, you know. That's what's important to me.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah, I remember doing some studies of the Olmec culture, and I was looking at some of their art, and they have a jade duck that they use as one of their symbols, and they look at this duck as a god or a symbol of the Trinity, one who swims on the water, walks on the land, and flies in the air. So yeah, thank you for carrying that name and that mantra, brethren. It's really deep, you know, because you know in Hebrew, all the names have a number system and a very important connection, you know. So names, a name, you carry a name, and man, you must live up to that name. So
yes,
again, thank you very much. Thank you very much, brethren.
Yeah, I looked for Pato in Hebrew, and when I looked at the symbols, the name Pato in Hebrew means son of man.
Ah, wow, yes.
In Hebrew, it's pronounced Ben Adam,
Okay.
And translated to English, it's Son of Man.
Yes, yes.
I was very shocked.
Yeah. Yes, man. Beautiful.
Yes, give thanks, and once again, Pato, I know you got a show tonight. We're gonna let you move on, and bless the people. And while you're at that show in Malibu, California tonight, keep in your heart, the love that that you're gonna be getting, back from the people, because always I appreciate it and I appreciate love, the vibe,
I just want to say to all the listeners, if they want to get my music, some of my music is not available online. They can get my music at patobanton.com. And also I have a Facebook site where I actually do my ministry now. And it's called Minister Pato Banton on Facebook. And that's where I share the teachings every day with people. And it's a very beautiful site. People come there and ask questions. And there's people there from all beliefs. And we just share truth and, support each other on our spiritual journey.
Yes, nice. Definitely look forward. Yeah, we'll check that out, and once again, give thanks, Pato Banton. We're going to call this Pato Banton interview part 1, because we'd love to have you back to do a little more reasoning, because it's really been a pleasure and an honor, to have you here on JahWorks Radio, and big up yourself once again for doing JahWorks, every day.
Blessings and love, my brothers.
Blessings. Yeah.
One love.
All right. Yes. Bless.
This one is dedicated to the fallen angel, Lucifer. Easy, Satan. Second Satan, Satan second.
JahWorks Radio to the world.
All this one is dedicated to the fallen angel, Lucifer. Easy Satan. Second Satan, Satan second. Hey, Jummy say second Satan, Satan second. Now this lyric I am chatting is a serious one, and it's dedicated to the boy Satan. His deadliest weapon is temptation. Is that him always used pan all human. Second Satan, Satan second. Hey, second Satan, Satan second. Right from the beginning in the Garden of Eden, the devil tempted Eve tempted Adam. Samson was the strongest ever upon the land. Delilah took his strength because of temptation. Remember how Judas betrayed the Son of Man. For 30 silver pieces he did this wrong. Even nowadays it goes on and on and on. Envy and greed will bring an end to all man. But your children don't fret, just hold on strong. And join in on the chorus with Pato Banton. Second Satan, Satan second. Second Satan, Satan second. Back up cool and circle when you see me a come, cause you don't stand a chance with a conscious man. Me will pick up the mic, put it in me right hand and spread truth and right all over the land. To the black man, white man, Chinese and Indian, cause the gates of Jah are open to all nation. As far as I'm concerned, this is my opinion. Be upright in Jah sight and you can't go wrong. It's not easy, I know, in this place called Babylon, surrounded by sinning and confusion. Disillusions by things on your television, depressed with your financial situation. Then all the bills you have to pay could stretch a mile long. Plus food in a the cupboard for you and your children. All over the world people have this problem, and the first thing they do is blame the system. But every government throughout the nation belong to the devil and him companion. The 666 posse wrestled by the Vatican, leading people to the pit by the million. Them can't fool me, cause me a conscious man. Kick temptation with me foot and box it down with me hand, cause I know when your judgment finally come, Lucifer and him follower bound to go down. So second Satan, Satan second. Hey, me say second Satan, Satan second. Second Satan, Satan second. Hey, second Satan, Satan second.